It has been somehow an up and down season with the Panthers, despite the fact that the only loss they have nearly 3 weeks into the year is in the shootout. And of course, that is being Joel Quenneville is no longer the coach of the Florida Panthers. We know he met with Gary Bettman, and that same day he steps down. Bettman agreed with it. But sort of rewinding here, Alex, once the report came out about everything to do with the Blackhawks, and you saw some of it, and then you saw that Joe Quenneville was coaching that game, what were your reactions sort of going back there?
So initially when the report came out, I still haven't read the whole thing, but I read a lot of the parts where he was mentioned. So I got more into detail with that, like the day of that game. And I was pretty surprised that he was coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously we saw the Kyle Beach TSN segment, and then I'm like, there is no way they're gonna let him coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no way. And then he was behind the bench, and I said, wow, this is gonna be a very, very interesting post-game press conference. And well, we can get into that in a second.
Mm-hmm. The initial bomber bomb, actually, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, I remember seeing it. I didn't even see the original tweet. I saw it from someone else who quote tweeted it. That's why I'm like, I know that name. I recognize that name for a second.
You might have been like the first person to actually say that Quenneville wasn't speaking. We can go there. That Quenneville wasn't speaking to the media, and all of a sudden, like you, it was just. How many retweets did you think you had, or quote tweets?
So last time I checked, there was like 500 quote tweets, 700,000 impressions. Like,
jeez.
Well, I guess that's what happens when because I do believe I was the first one to get it out there that he wasn't speaking to the media, just based off of like the timeline of all the people that were in that press conference.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Wisniewski, or ever how you pronounce it, was that like quote tweeted it right away. And a couple like Granelli quote tweeted it. Like there is a lot of people just quote tweeting it. A lot of people were saying, like, what the hell just happened? You coach the game and you don't talk to the media. So that's kind of how that was how that day went for the Panthers. You let him coach, you play the game, you don't let him speak to the media, and then you have the hearing or whatever it was, the meeting, not a hearing, the meeting with Bettman the next day.
What did you... Sorry, before I just quickly throw to Alex here, just one thing I wanted to ask you here is, so I want to say it was that morning he spoke, but he didn't say much. I believe it was simply I understand you got to do your job. It almost sounded like a Tortorella press conference. But
the post-morning skate, he did speak to the media that were there.
And really, the only real thing of note that he said about that was, and I believe he was asked, would this be a distraction in the room, was... And it was very much poor words coming from Joe Quenneville. I'm going to paraphrase here, is we try and eliminate all distractions, which, if you've read the Jenner and Block report, was not the best words for Joe Quenneville to use.
Yeah, definitely surprising that he was coaching that night.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he should have been coaching. It's like when a player gets suspended, they need to do their hearing before they can, play a game, go to practice, whatever it is. Why isn't it the same for a coach, especially in this circumstance? I think that's kind of what people were questioning the league for. And then I haven't seen too much about what happened today with the league, but I saw some of the quotes and it was interesting with Bettman.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting is a word, yeah. That would best describe it.
What was he? Sorry to cut you off here, Alex. Alex. But I think the thing was, what was it Gary said? I didn't want to he was like, should he have coached? Yes or no, but I wanted to make sure that no one, including Joe Quenneville, thought that I had prejudged him, which is just ludicrous. And I think he then numbered how many games Quenneville had coached since 2010. It was like, okay, Gary, maybe that's more
the thing I don't understand is what happened between the day that the Jenner and Block investigative report came out and what happened in that not lengthy meeting between Quenneville, Bettman, with Matthew Caldwell, one of the presidents / CEO of the Panthers, and Bill Zito were in the room as well. What happened in that hour time frame that changed the judgment, because it's not a court hearing. Like, he's not going up against a jury. There wasn't any other evidence. It's what that report said.
Yeah. And the league. So I think it was CJ who said it. It might've been Friedman, one of those two. Like, the league had that report Monday morning.
So they had it even before it got released.
Before everybody else. So they still said, we'll meet with Quenneville. I guess it would have been Thursday, and we'll meet with Cheveldayoff on the Monday, which obviously got boofed. But it was just, the whole thing was ridiculous. I'm really curious to know, though, what the pulse of the fan base was when that came out. Whether, like, if you want to talk about the night of that game against the Bruins, as well as like when he got fired, like, what was the thought among the fan base?
So there was a couple of different things that happened. And as a reporter, journalist, whatever you want to call me, I'm not actively participating in fan discussions. However, I do see what's going on with the Panthers Twitter. I think I saw mixed reviews or mixed opinions when that report came out. A lot of people were like, oh, you don't know anything yet, like this, that. I don't think enough people actually read the entirety of the report for them to know what they were talking about. They were looking at screen grabs on Twitter. Then when the Kyle Beach in interview came out, immediately I saw the same people flip and say, no, like, he shouldn't be coaching tonight. He needs to be gone. At least that's what I saw quite frequently. A lot of people are kind of jumping back to like, okay, this isn't like, once you put a face to a name, it's like you get the human connection. I think that's what a lot of people, not just for the Panthers fan base, just in the hockey community, really just like sympathize with that. And then when he resigned, a lot of people are like, okay, yeah, like that was the right choice. Like, get it out of the way, like focus on the team, because these players weren't with the Blackhawks. Any of them weren't, but they also had Quenneville as the coach. So it's like, move on from Quenneville, because what needed to be done was done in terms of him not being the Panthers coach.
It was, I don't want to say weird, because it, like, to me, it was weird how much consensus there was among not even, I guess, people just in Florida, but across the entire league. And I think we were recording at the same time it all went down last Wednesday. But like, from all sides, like from sides you'd usually expect to go head to head, that we were all in agreement that he really shouldn't have been behind the bench that night. And it was odd to see.
You know who probably thought he should have been behind the bench, and who probably didn't read the report either? Probably Jonathan Taves.
So here's the thing with the Taves, Kane, like these guys' comments. The Panthers players, when they were asked about it the day after, because they played a back-to-back, immediately it was like, we feel for Kyle Beach. That should never have happened. Obviously, they're not going to be like slandering Quenneville because they didn't know about this until 2 days before, but they were also not defending him. They were just like, what's important now is that we listen to Kyle, and Jonathan Huberdeau had good quotes. Barkov had good quotes. Ekblad had really good quotes. It seems like everyone in the NHL player-wise had really good quotes, except for the players that played on that Blackhawks team.
The best quote of the day was Alex DeBrincat, who was 23 years old.
He was 12 when this happened.
Yeah. And he's the one with the best quote. It was just, it's off-putting. And I mean, we had that discussion last episode, but like, it was just off-putting to see the entire thing.